Good morning, everyone. I'm Managing Director and Head of Research here at Red Cloud Securities. Our next presenters are Jorge Ramiro Monroy, CEO, and Lauren Megaw, IR of Reyna Silver Corp. Now, Reyna is advancing several high-grade district-scale projects in Mexico, including Gigi, located in Chihuahua State. So, Jorge and Lauren, you have about 15 minutes to present, and then we'll have a 5-minute Q&A session at the end. So take it away.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you very much to Red Cloud for giving us the opportunity to do this presentation, and great to be in contact with everyone. As David said, Reyna Silver is an exploration company that's focused on historic districts and bringing a new perspective. I will be making forward-looking statements during the presentation, so please do your own research. Many of you are familiar with the company, so I'll take this opportunity to give you a broad update of what we have been doing. We have 3 projects. Gigi and Batopilas are 2 projects that Peter Megaw put together in the years prior to Mag Silver. We acquired them from Mag Silver in 2018. And then Medicine Springs is in Nevada. The thing that ties all our projects together is they all have proven high-grade silver potential. They were either former producers or land packages directly surrounding high-grade silver former producers. And every single one of our projects, we're exploring them using a district scale approach. At Gigi, which is Peter Megaw's doctoral thesis, we completed last year stage 1 of drilling. We were able to find scar mineralization that was significant. And we just finished stage 2, waiting for results, and we will be putting those assays as soon as they come back from the lab. At Batopilas, we also are looking at a historic district. It's a former producer, actually Mexico's highest grade silver producer. We had multiple extensions to the known veins that we discovered through trenching and sampling, drilled significant intersect at a native silver vein. We also find a gold zone with high grade gold, and we're just finishing the phase 1 drill campaign and putting the rest of the drill results that we haven't put out also within the next few weeks, as soon as we get all the results back. And then at Medicine Springs in 2020 we acquired the project. At the heart of it was a small former producer and a small drill campaign done in the 80s. Peter Megaw recognized that this had the potential for a district scale CRD project. We quadrupled our land position to make sure we held the entire district. And we had a sampling campaign over the last year that has helped us to get almost to the point where we have our drill targets, and we're looking to do an initial drill campaign this year. Our share structure, very briefly, we have 100 million shares outstanding. We still have about 7 million Canadian in cash, and you can see here some of our main shareholders. Peter Megaw, many of you are familiar with. He's our chief technical advisor, one of the most successful silver exploration geologists of the last 20 years. And also Doug Kerwin, who was one of our early investors and also in our technical advisory board. In terms of management, my background, I'm the CEO. I'm originally from Mexico. My background is as a mining entrepreneur and in capital markets. We also have Peter Jones, who's our chairman, former CEO of Hudbay Minerals, and an incredible team of Mexican geologists led by Rene Ramirez and Ariel Navarro. As a team, especially Rene has been working with Peter from the beginning of his career. In fact, Rene was somebody who did the initial mapping and drilling at Juanicipio for Mag Silver. And he is a very successful geologist in his own right. With that, I'll pass it to Lauren, who will walk us through the technical aspects of the presentation.
Thank you, Jorge. Excited to talk about some of these projects, especially the first one, which is Gigi. This is at the heart of the Santo Eulalia mining district. It's where my father did his doctoral theses, in part because this is one of these truly large scale deposits. Over its history, it produced 500 million ounces of silver. And the interesting part here is that half of what we refer to as the CRD, or carbonate replacement deposit system, is missing. Can you go to the next slide? This was one of the IPOs for Mag Silver, and we're currently drilling there. We're part of that. We've completed that 12,000 meter phase 1, and now we're doing phase 2. And we're going to kind of talk about sort of the technical sides on here as well. Next. So this is the CRD model. This was partially developed and refined at the Santa Eulalia district, and all of the historic workings where that 500 million ounces came out, those were all in the chimney manto systems, this distal portion. Geologists like to use big fancy words to make us feel smart, but another way to think about these systems is it's like a bus terminal. So, you've got the intrusion that's sort of driving everything out. It's where the origin spot is. And then CRDs, carbonate replacement deposits, are interesting because they're continuous systems. So you can think of it as the spokes, the roads coming out, buses coming out and dropping off people, dropping off elements as you go down the system. So as a result, you end up with zoning, you end up with different features that we can use to target. And one of the things at Gigi is that in Santa Eulalia is that we just have that distal portion. We don't have that bus terminal. We don't know where that intrusion and the driving force behind the district is. The other thing is that there's skarn mineralization nearby, an intrusion, and that is a more voluminous, large scale, sulfide mineralization. And so the goal for the recent drilling campaigns has been locating this source, because then you can work the two ends against the middle. If you find that bus terminal, you can find the additional spokes. You can also find that skarn, and you can use the historic workings versus the intrusion to really get a sense of this district at scale. Next slide. So this is the historic workings over here to the left side. Those are the actual schematics. And part of the reason why the intrusion and what we think is under Gigi hasn't been found prior is because it's all hiding underneath pre-mineralized volcanics. So we did a bunch of work, geophysics, mapping, and plotted out some holes. We go to the next slide here. And so, these green dots represent the most recent drilling campaign. We're going to focus today on hole 28. That's up in that northwest section. Next slide. And, we went in, and the goal here was to find intrusion of some kind. And we ran into what's called a quartz eye rhyolite. This tells us that this is the kind of intrusion. It's never been seen before in the district. And not only did we find an intrusion, but we found that it was mineralized by about 55 meters of skarn. And this tells us, based off of the zoning, based off of what we're seeing, that we're getting closer to the source of the system. Go to the next slide. And so, you look at this, we see that copper, lead, zinc, silver zoning that we should be seeing in higher temperature systems as we move closer towards the source of the Santa Eulalia CRD. And if you go to the next slide, we're even getting zones that are running like 184 grams per ton silver. There on the right, you can actually see a sample. That thing runs 523 grams per ton silver. So this tells us that we're got juicy mineralizing fluids, and it makes us as geologists excited about the potential, and we're looking forward to tracking down the source as well as trying to refine our understanding of this district. Next slide here. Zinc mineralization. Next. On top of that, we've also got the Batopilas project. This is in Chihuahua as well. This is a historic native silver district. On the left there, one of my all-time favorite photos, that is 1 month of production of native silver. Each one of those bars is 25 kilograms. There's 30 known veins that were produced here at Batopilas, And our question was, can we expand the district and our understanding of what's going on? Next slide. The Spanish came in the 1630s. They went from the surface down, and then they put in a tunnel in the 1880s to go up and down. The mine closed when it flooded back in 1913. MAG picked it up. We started doing phase 1 drilling, and typically, because we focus on district scale, when we put out a drill campaign, when we put out results, we try to put them out as like a complete package. But we actually ended up having to put out the first 5 holes early because the town dog knew about the silver and gold mineralization that we saw. And that's actually a key point here, in that for the first time ever in this area, there was gold discovered at Batopilas. So if we go to the next, this was an area that produced, the ore grades ran up to 75% silver. They originally came in looking for gold. They found silver, and we've gone up into this northeast section, which was underexplored. And, we did a trenching project back in the fall, next slide, or back last year. And we came out with samples that were running 42,000 grams per ton silver, big blocks of crystallized silver, as well as we ended up running into a zone with a sample that came back 21.4 grams of gold, which raises the Hollywood question of where did this come from? So as we're moving into this northeast, we're running into a gold zone, and it's raising some interesting questions. Next slide. We had a zone there that ran 28.7 grams per ton gold, and this is in a similar area where we're also getting 10,565 grams per ton silver. And as a geo, the question that comes up is, where is this gold coming from? Is it using the same plumbing? Is it from the same source? Are we dealing with multiple sources? How does it fit into our overall understanding and picture of this district? And the complexity of this system is, it is one of these things that we're trying to wrap our head around. And it's a great problem to have when you go, oh shucks, we've got a gold mineralization that we've got to figure out how it fits in. Next here. So on the right here, you can actually see native silver in the veins. And to the next slide. For sort of the third leg of the stool, we have the Medicine Springs project. This is in Nevada. And, one of the reasons we're excited about this thing is when we're looking at a CRD prospect, we're looking for certain features that tells us, okay, there's something big, high grade here. And, when my dad and I were doing due diligence of this project, you're there and you see these ripping what are called jasperoids. These are exhaust features that we can see. Next slide here. And as well as, we know that we're in a carbonate area. These are the features that are on our checklist for, yes, we've got a CRD, we've got something that we're interested in. We're seeing, in the jasperoids, we're seeing multiple layers of alteration, as well as multiple pulses of mineralization. This tells us, okay, we've got the signatures that we want to see for something big. So we did a jasperoid selective sampling study. Next slide here. And what we ended up with was getting this zone here is about 2.5 by 3.5 kilometers in zoning. We've got the copper, lead, zinc, silver. These are exhaust features. These are the last things that we see. And we're getting in these exhaust features 1,000 grams per ton silver in 2 samples, 37 coming back at 66 grams per ton. So as a geologist, this is really exciting, and looking forward to putting some drill holes in here and seeing if we're right about this being a large CRD. Jorge, I'll turn this over to you.
Yeah, so thank you, Lauren. That was a great explanation. So for, basically what we have to look for now is, as I mentioned, we just finished the 8,000 meter phase 2 drilling program at Gigi. As soon as we have those results, which I expect, will be in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we'll put those out in a press release. Same thing at Batopilas. We're waiting for the results. As soon as those come out, which I expect around the same time frame, we'll put those results out. we'll start immediately with phase 3 at Gigi, which will be at least another 8,000 meters. Same thing at Batopilas. And then at Medicine Springs, we're in the final stages of getting our drill targets. And we do have a budget for 7,000 meters of drilling there, hopefully by this summer or in the early fall. So that's it. Thank you very much. And thank you, David.
Okay, thank you both. Great presentation. So we do have some questions here. I guess you have 3 large exploration districts now. How do you go about prioritizing budgets and focus?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, David. And one of the things that we recognized early on is the Peter and also the technical team that we have. Really, the specialty of the team is with taking the projects from conceptualizing it and doing this first stage of earliest stage exploration. And so we started with Gigi as our main focus, with the strengths of the markets and the fact that we had more money. We had the projects already in hand, so we decided to also go for Batopilas, and then Medicine Springs emerged later. There will be a time where we have to potentially just focus on 1 or 2, but we recognize that this first stage of exploration in a project is not terribly expensive, and it's really what creates a huge amount of value. So one thing that we are doing since last year is making sure that every single one of our projects, we're putting them in front of people who, mid-tier producers, larger companies who might in the future be interested in being a partner with us in 1 or 2 of the projects. But we did realize that the expertise that we have is very specific to the kind of exploration that we're doing now, which is not something that larger companies typically want to do.
Right. Okay. I was going to ask if you'd consider stepping out of historical districts and employ what you've learned into some emerging areas or underexplored areas, but I guess that's sort of what you're doing already at Medicine Springs, is it not?
Yeah, a little bit, yes. And we do have other projects actually in our portfolio. We don't put them here, that are a lot more early stage. For that, we are pursuing potential partnerships like other companies have, where a bigger company could fund the exploration entirely and we execute them. But at the moment, we're happy with the portfolio that we have. I think a lot of it will depend also on silver prices. When we put together the company, when we went public during that time where silver had that run to $30. So and a lot of people thinking, okay, silver might go to 40, 50. And we were asking ourselves, with silver at those prices, there's just so few new silver projects. It's an interesting concept to have a portfolio. So depending on how the strength of the market continues, but our main focus really has been Gigi. The second priority has been Batopilas, and then Medicine Springs would be sort of the third in the list.
Right. Okay. Is the company planning to grow your executive team, your management, or geological teams this year?
Well, we have already done that. So we're constantly adding more people to the group. Really some incredible talent in Mexico. Over the last, I would say over the last 3 months, we've added a number of geologists at both Gigi and Batopilas. We are looking to strengthen our team at Medicine Springs. If anybody who's listening to these broadcasts is interested, do contact me. And it is what we've done at Gigi and Batopilas is, while we have a team doing the drilling, we have a separate team looking for more targets. We also doing another team doing geophysics. We also have at Batopilas, we're getting a very qualified geologist to do structural work. I think it's going to be like a 3-4 month project. Somebody who has like a very high level structural geology. So we think that's very important. We're also doing a program with UBC at Gigi that we're very excited about. Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's called an isotope study.
Yeah, so it's an isotope study looking at to help us narrow down target and better understand. It's something that was also done at Cinco de Mayo, that project for MAG.